Hey, what's going on guys? My name is Alec and today I'm going to be teaching you how to color grade your videos in Final Cut Pro 10 using one of the best accessories that I found out there. It's called the X-Rite Color Checker Passport, and essentially what it is, it's a little color calibration card which will allow you to target pure whites, the chromatic row being yellows, magenta, cyans, etc. And it will also allow you to get great skin tones. Pairing this with Final Cut Pro 10, no plugins required. You can see how this chart will take your videos to a whole new level. The color checker isn't that expensive. It's about 150 bucks in B&H, and it's one of the best investments I've made in my gear in a long time. When I initially tested it out, it made a whole ton of difference to my videos. It also includes a focus targeting card, but for this video we will only be focusing on how to color grade correctly. To see how much we can color grade a clip, I will be moving my white balance just a bit in the cooler side to see how much we can bring it back in post. So without any further ado, let's jump into the tutorial. Okay, so here we are in Final Cut Pro 10, and I shot this in ProVerse RAW, and as you can see the highlights are clipped. That's what happens when you bring it back from the Nikon Z6 into Final Cut Pro 10. It clips the highlights. So first we want to correct our exposure before doing color grade. So bring the color board effects to the clip, and then select on this triangle right here and select color wheels. And what we want to do is bring down those highlights. So just bring down the slider like this. And let's go to a frame that's a little bit clearer, like this one. And then bring down those shadows as well to create some contrast. And the master, bring it up, as well as the midtones. Like this. I think the highlights are still a little bit too much. And it looks like this. Hopefully you can do a better job. Just for the purpose of this video, I will only color grade it like this. So now let's move into the color checker part. So here you can see I position it in front of the frame, so I can then fix it in post. We have two parts. The first part is the white balancing card, and the second part is the chromatic row and skin tones part. So what we want to do is just draw a mask. So just put that in the clip, and then you only want to select the part that that we want to fix. So here are the pure grays, blacks, and whites. So create a mask around that, and then on the transform, you want to bring it up so you can see it a lot clearer and center it like this. Click done, and essentially what we want to do next is go back to the color adjustment and select color curves. And now we want to go to window, workspaces, and color and effects. And as you can see, we have a lot of windows. We want to only focus on one, so select a single window like this. And make sure you are on waveform and RGB overlay. And essentially what we want to do is just bring these three lines and the midtones together, as well as the highlights. But the highlights look like they're fine. So and the shadows as well. So we just want to correct this midtones part right here by moving these three lines together to create like a white look. So we want to select the reds. These are the red line, and we want to move it back to where the green is. So we just move it up like this. And then also on the blue side, so we want to bring it down. So select the midtones. Here are your shadows, midtones, and highlights. So if we wanted to create, for example, the shadows, we just move it like this. And as you can see, it does move all of the curves, but you can just fix it like this. But that's just an example. So here what we want to do is just bring this line down to match with the white line. So like this. And the red is a little bit too off, so we want to correct that as well. So let's just move it like this. And as you can see, we have a pure white line. Obviously, if your color temperature is too far off, like cooler or warmer, it'll be more difficult and you have to do a lot of work. So it's always best to correct your exposure before you start shooting, and also your white balance. So the next part and the next step we have to do is disable the draw mask and the transform tool. And as you can see, it's not too much of a difference, but it corrected our white balance just a little bit. The next part will make a more difference once we correct the colors that we see right here. So next we want to draw another mask and select only the skin tones and the chromatic row. So the chromatic row is this right here, and select this like so. And then we want to transform it again and then just bring it into the center. We want to go back to the color adjustment and select hue and saturation curves. This time we want to focus on the vector scope. So select the vector scope from here. And the goal is to essentially match each of those these little pointy lines to its correct box. So for example, this is a red box, and we want to match it with this box right here, as well as the magentas. The blues, you can see it's a little bit off, so we want to move it like right here, and the cyans, the greens, and the yellows. And the skin tone line is this one right here. We want to move all of these skin tones. As you can see, we have a variety of skin tones right here, and we want to move it towards the skin tones line. So to do that, we just click on this eyedropper tool right here and select each of those colors. As you can see on the curves, it's adding those colors. Okay, and now we want to fix the blue first, since it's the one that's too far off. So to fix it, just bring it down. And if you want to see if it touches the box, you can just pump up the saturation. And then we want to fix the magentas. So you can see this line right here is moving, and also the reds a little bit. The yellows looks like they're fine. We can refine them a little bit. And also the greens. And lastly, the cyans. And the skin tone line has to be touching the skin tones right here. So we just move it towards the skin tone line. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just overlaid in the skin tone line. And that's about it. You can see we can now disable the draw mask and the transform. And we can move to a frame where I can see my face. Let me see right here. I think the first frame was fine. There we go. And as you can see, it's a little bit red, so we can fix that. Now let's go back and disable a little bit of the reds. And we pumped up the saturation just to see if it hit the boxes, so we can now bring it down. But I still see some saturation on the blue side. So what we can do is just click again on the eyedropper tool, this time in hue versus sat, and then click on the eyedropper and select the blues, which are very saturated. So select the blues and just bring it down like this. And yeah, that's about it. We can bring the saturation a little bit up. And we started with a clip that looked like this, and then we added the effects and the color grading, and it looked like this. so it's pretty good in my opinion. If you want to see each step, the color wheels, we fixed the exposure, then the color curves, which is the white balance, and the hue and saturation, which is the chromatic row. And this will work best if you have a really messed up shot, warmer or cooler. But since I set my white balance to almost white since the beginning, it did not correct that much because it was already pretty good. But of course, this works in really messed up shots. So yeah, that's how you color grade a video. That's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.